I'll speak next. My name is Dylan Amo, downtown Portland, member of the Citizens Campaign Commission. Before I get started, I wanted to thank you all for your recent inclusion of me, voting me into the commission. It's been a pleasure to serve with them. Also, I wanted to thank my fellow members of the commission and City Auditor's Office for creating a very inclusive and respectful work environment. It is a pleasure to work with them, and I look forward to serving out the rest of my term with them. As the as the council might be aware, I was the lone vote against the recommendation before you on this council. I wanted to share with you my perspective. I saw this first as a vote whether or not to change or not to change. Even before I get to the identification of the appropriate number, I wanted to figure out whether or not we had gotten enough information together to make a conclusion. And as of now, I don't think that the answer before you in the recommendation from the committee is inclusive enough to make an answer on the issue of special elections. First of all, I think the committee did a great job. They created an intensive work schedule, making lots of different meetings, as Leslie pointed out. They were very inclusive in providing drawing out from the audiences that were at our meetings and trying to get their perspective. Additionally, more than any other committee that I've been a part of, they really did reach out to members of the public to get their perspective if they were not able to it. And Leslie and I know Gary will, and all the emails that you have before you, talk about all the different professionals that were included in our decision. Obviously, you've seen the logic that was used to come up with this goal. But I think questions still exist. And I know that you have had heated debates within this in private and in public as the direction to go. And I think that within you right now, you know that there are plenty of questions. I think first, one of fairness of non-participating candidates is still something that it needs to be dealt with. Obviously, the first question is whether or not they are able to raise enough money to meet the amount that we are recommending out of this. I don't necessarily know that we got an answer to that. I think a lot of time was spent by the committee in coming up with an answer as to what the appropriate number is going to be for a participating candidate to go out and get votes adequate to have a successful campaign, what is necessary to get voter outreach. But I think we need to spend more time in getting non-participating information. Additionally, at the last meeting, one of my biggest problems was the question of non-participating designation of money. If a non-participating candidate raises more money in a shorter time frame or raises more money that would come up to the matching cap, that they would have the ability, since it is a shorter time frame, to designate that money towards the future runoff election rather than exceed the matching cap. And I think that that is a penalty on non-participating that I think that the Citizens Campaign Commission and y'all need to still deal with, and it's a question that still exists out there. So in conclusion, I said that I do not want to change, and I just wanted to get more input from the public. I know that this is a significant problem, that we have a special coming up, but that I would rather not create more problems that need to be addressed in the future and deal with this now. And I thank you all for your time.
So I'm a little confused about what your position is. Is your position you think the 200,000 is too much, or that we shouldn't change that amount?
I would not change that 200 number. But the question isn't necessarily what number do I think is appropriate to give to a candidate, because I think
Before we get there, can I focus on the change part? Because I don't want to ask about that right yet. So your position is that leaving everything status quo means that a runoff candidate has $200,000.
Correct.
And you understand that the council had to actually adopt an ordinance for special elections here about a month ago to create that.
Correct.
So we were actually changing the system by adopting a mechanism for special elections.
It is my opinion that we didn't create a new ordinance, that what we did was apply the existing ordinance
We had to pass that.
Yeah,
So that-
correct.
So, I mean, it isn't a matter of opinion.
Right.
The fact is, we had to adopt an ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
We've since rescinded the ordinance, which means there is no rules for a runoff candidate. So I've been confused about this position. I've heard that the council's changing something because we had to create something for runoff candidates.
Well, as I was trying to lay out in my remarks, I don't think that we can come to a fair number. In my opinion, I don't think we have come up with a fair number yet. We have focused almost exclusively our committee time on what is a number that is appropriate for a participating candidate to reach out to the public. I think we need to spend more time in reaching out to non-participating and including them into the discussion. I think that the number that they have come up with is a fair number as what it takes for a participating candidate to work within the system, but that we need to spend more time to come up with a better answer that includes non-participation, not just what it takes for them to raise against a participating candidate, but also the issue of designation of cap money. Some people refer to it as earmarks in the emails, but I refer to it as designation.
But I guess another part that's somewhat mystified me in the discussion is inherent in any amount that's been talked about is that a non-participating candidate that raised above, whether it was $66,000 or $100,000 or $150,000 or $200,000, any non-participating candidate that raised private funds above that we would match dollar for dollar for the participating candidate. So that I've been curious that hasn't been part of the discussion, that it really almost in some ways becomes not so important what the amount is. If the theory is we're trying to reduce the cost of elections, then the nature of whatever the cap is, however low it is to send a message to non-participating candidates, whatever you raise above that, the participating candidate will receive. So